Teenagers' forest trip turns into a nightmare when they encounter a horrible creature. 5 teenagers set out for a fun trip, but things quickly go wrong when they get stranded in a forest. Before long, they're battling to survive against a terrifying creature lurking within. Will they make it out alive? Strap in, movie enthusiasts, it's recap time. Today, we will be diving into the story of a horror film, Shortcut, from the year 2020. So, let's start. The movie begins with a boy running through the forest, terrified and crying. He falls to his knees. In the next scene, a bus full of kids is shown. Nolan narrates that life is like a road, and everyone reaches a crossroads where they must choose a path. Their moment of decision came, but it changed their lives forever. On the bus radio, a documentary about lunar eclipses plays, explaining that humans have long been fascinated by the moon and eclipses. Some even believed they were powerful omens. A nerdy-looking girl named Queenie mentions that she's already seen it on YouTube. A chubby boy named Carl, sitting beside her, offers her a pair of welder's glasses, saying she can use them if she wants. Queenie responds, saying that those glasses are for solar eclipses, not lunar ones. They're useless anyway because of double refraction, and she begins to explain the phenomenon. Carl yawns, pretending to be bored, and Queenie calls him an idiot before going quiet. The documentary continues, mentioning that this is the first time such an eclipse has occurred in 20 years, encouraging everyone to witness it. The driver, Joseph, asks another girl, Bess, if she's planning to watch the eclipse. She replies that she might. Reggie and Nolan exchange middle fingers. Nolan glances at Bess and gives her a warm smile. Carl tries to ask a riddle, but Queenie quickly answers it before he can finish. Joseph then asks a much harder riddle, and no one can solve it. The group keeps chatting and joking, until they come across a tree that has fallen onto the road, surrounded by debris. They decide to take a detour through a shortcut. Unnoticed by the group, a dead body lies trapped in the debris. They continue down the alternate route and soon come across a dead animal on the road. Joseph steps out of the bus to move the animal aside. They all speculate that the poor creature was probably hit by a car. As Joseph starts pulling the animal to the side of the road, he suddenly freezes. A man with a gun presses it to Joseph's head as he enters the bus. He orders everyone to shut up, threatening to shoot Joseph, and then the rest of them if they don't comply. He commands Joseph to keep driving and tells everyone to throw their phones out the window. Reggie, being the bold one, hesitates and shows some resistance, but the man threatens him, forcing him to toss his phone out. Carl suddenly remembers where he'd seen this man before. He had once told a story to his police officer friend, Chris, after spotting the man in a newspaper. When Carl asked about him, Chris explained that the man was a notorious criminal known as the Tongue Eater, someone who has a particular obsession with eating the tongues of teenagers. Carl blurts out, "He's Pedro, the Tongue Eater!" Everyone on the bus is instantly terrified. Pedro raises his gun and commands them to shut up. Suddenly, the bus stops in the middle of a tunnel. Joseph, the driver, nervously says there must be something wrong with the engine, but he's unsure what happened. Pedro warns him not to mess around and orders him to get the bus moving. To intimidate them further, Pedro grabs Queenie, pointing the gun at her head, threatening to shoot if Joseph doesn't fix the bus immediately. Joseph gets out to check the engine. After inspecting it, he announces that there's a problem with the motor. Without warning, the tunnel lights go out. In the distance, they all sense a strange presence lurking in the dark. Pedro tells Joseph to check it out, handing him a torch. Joseph cautiously approaches the source of the disturbance. Suddenly, he screams, and his flashlight flickers off. Watching through the back window, the group panics. Pedro storms back inside and shouts at them to be quiet. He shoves Carl and orders him to go retrieve the keys from Joseph, who was likely killed by whatever was in the tunnel. Nolan speaks up, telling Pedro to leave Carl alone. In response, Pedro grabs Bess, forcing her to get the keys from her pocket instead. Bess, terrified, starts walking toward Joseph's lifeless body. When she gets close, she sees that he's dead, horribly mutilated and bleeding. Whatever the creature was, it had killed him in a gruesome manner. Shaking with fear, she retrieves the keys from his pocket and rushes back to the bus. Pedro grabs the keys and orders Reggie to drive, threatening to kill him and the others if he refuses. Reggie insists that he doesn't know how to drive, but Pedro forces him to try anyway. In the chaos, Reggie suddenly snatches the gun from Pedro and points it at him. Pedro raises his hands, calmly telling Reggie that while he might feel powerful after taking control, it wouldn't save him or his friends. Reggie, however, coldly responds that he doesn't have any friends. Just then, a loud knock echoes from the roof of the bus. Pedro swiftly grabs the gun back, pushing everyone toward the back of the bus. He steps outside, shouting into the darkness for the creature to come down and face him, bragging that he didn't break out of prison just to be trapped in a battle box. In an instant, a horrifying creature descends from the roof and viciously kills Pedro. All the kids panic, shouting and fighting with each other, their fear turning into chaos. One of them suggests that they should go outside and check, saying Pedro is probably dead. Queenie tries to stay rational, insisting there must be a logical explanation for what's happening. Reggie snaps at her, cursing her for always trying to find logic in everything. Suddenly, a knock echoes again, and for the first time, they see the creature's face pressed against the window. The group erupts in screams, frantically searching for a way out. The creature breaks down the door, trying to force its way into the bus. In a rush, they grab their torches and flee, running outside just as the creature enters. Once outside, Carl spots Pedro's disfigured body lying nearby and screams in horror. Despite the shock, they pull him along, running together and using their flashlights to keep the creature at bay. They take the only available path deeper into the tunnel and soon discover a room with an electrical system inside. The electrical system was switched off, and they realized they needed to find a generator to get it working since the creature was afraid of lights. Nolan discovers a layout of the tunnel and notes that the generator is located some distance away. The group laments Joseph's death, and Reggie shows them a picture, revealing that Joseph had been a friend of his father. He explains that his father went missing 2 years ago under suspicious circumstances. They all sympathize with him. Bess and Nolan decide to search for the generator to restore the lights, while Reggie, Queenie, and Carl stay behind. After a while, Reggie complains about being hungry, joking that he would kill for a hamburger, and Carl agrees. Queenie mentions that she needs to use the bathroom and asks one of them to accompany her. Reggie agrees to go with her. She instructs him to turn around and stand a distance away while she takes care of her needs. He does as she asks, but when he turns back, Queenie is nowhere to be seen. Reggie returns to Carl and urgently tells him that Queenie has been taken. They both set out to find her, with Reggie blaming himself for what happened. They search through the tunnel, desperate to locate her. Suddenly, they spot the creature dragging Queenie along the floor. Reggie bravely attacks the creature, freeing Queenie from its grasp. He instructs Carl and Queenie to run, while he stays behind to confront the creature. Carl and Queenie start to flee, but after a brief moment, they turn back to search for Reggie. Meanwhile, Nolan and Bess are on their own search for the generator. They come across a cluster of torches and realize that someone had been there before them and attempted to escape, as they discover a dead body nearby. Bess tells Nolan to take a right turn, but Nolan corrects her, saying it's actually a left turn. Bess admits she's terrible with directions, but Nolan compliments her by saying she's excellent at drawing, mentioning he's seen some of her sketches. He adds that his mother used to draw landscapes as well. Bess asks about the kind of sketches, and Nolan describes them as all sorts of landscapes. They eventually find the generator and manage to turn on the lights. With the lights on, the creature loses its grip on Reggie and lets him go. Nolan discovers some documents and research papers nearby. As he examines them, he learns they belong to a man named Giulio Sarpi, who had lived in the area. Nolan reads through Sarpi's diary and documents, discovering that Sarpi and his sister had come to the forest years ago for an adventure. His sister was taken by the creature, which Sarpi called the Nocturne Wanderer. It had killed his sister 40 years ago, and Sarpi dedicated the rest of his life to trying to eliminate the creature. Through extensive research, Sarpi learned that the Nocturne Wanderer thrived in darkness and was afraid of light. Nolan calls his friends to share this story and the valuable information he found. Nolan discovers that Giulio Sarpi had built a machine with LED lights to combat the creature, but he was suddenly attacked and killed by it. That's why Sarpi's body is found helplessly in the area. After hearing this story, the group decides they must defeat the creature and escape. They're determined to become heroes and rid the place of this evil. Reggie jokingly says he is on board with the plan, as long as it doesn't involve wearing a spandex suit. They know 2 key things about the creature. It fears light, and it sucks blood like a parasite, relentlessly pursuing anyone it has tasted until it kills them. Since the creature has already taken Queenie, they anticipate it will come after her again. The group starts preparing a trap. They set up the lights and place a shirt stained with Queenie's blood to lure the creature. The creature detects the scent of the shirt and heads towards it. It first confronts Reggie, who struggles to get his torch lit. Nolan, however, distracts the creature with a whistle. The creature moves past Nolan and enters the room where Queenie and Bess are. As it enters, they quickly turn on all the lights at once. Bess and Queenie seize the opportunity to run out of the tunnel. The creature, now panicked by the sudden light, follows them out. Shortly after, Reggie, Nolan, and Carl make their way out as well, setting the creature on fire with their torches along the way. Once outside, they pay tribute to Joseph before leaving. Nolan reflects on the tough riddle they were given at the beginning, where the answer was courage, which they demonstrated throughout their ordeal. He acknowledges that no one may believe their story, but it doesn't matter. What's important is that they faced it together, which strengthened their friendship and bond. I hope you liked the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching and see you next time.